You guys are good. So what we're doing today is we're going to build a simple chat server, nicely dockerized, and should be able to handle some common chat functions. So we're talking things like group chats, all those nice things. Okay, yeah. My bitrate is kind of fucked. I don't know why when I stream at night, then the bitrate is really nice, but during the day it's fucked up. I guess maybe it's because so many people are using the network. Okay. Yeah, so the first thing we're going to do is let's start planning. I'm going to do a simple plan for it, and then we can go from there, right? Okay. Okay. Okay, guys, let's go. So obviously the first thing that we do is we have to plan. You definitely have to plan. What will I be using today? I'll be using a mix of NeoVim and VS Code. So that's what I'll be using. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is let's plan. So we're gonna go to Excalibro, then I'm gonna get rid of these. So so the first thing that we need, obviously, there's usually there's usually this library, you know, guys. You see this library right here? I never knew this thing existed. Okay, make a comment. Okay, so obviously we need a client. So can I search like client? Browse libraries. Let's see if we can do like a system design because I saw you could do like yeah, they normally have libraries which you can use. Okay, so the first thing that we have, obviously we have our clients. We'll use the big Docker. Everything will be Dockerized. That's the first thing that we have. So everything has to be Dockerized, and then going to have our system in here. Okay, so everything is going to run on Docker. Let me just make it small enough. Okay, so we'll have Docker right there, and then we have our clients. Do you want users or do you want we want single users? So when you come in as a user, okay, we have multiple users. Let's have 2 users in this case, because 2 users are going to communicate with each other. Okay. So we have 2 users. So our 2 users want to communicate to each other. Then we need something in the middle. So we need our server. If we we could possibly have a gateway, then connecting to our servers, but we are going to keep it really basic. And what I really mean by basic is we are definitely having our simple server right here. Okay, going to have a simple server right there, and this is going to connect. Okay, so both of our users are going to connect the server, and what the users can do, the users can send messages to the server, right? And then we need to persist these messages. So for the persistence of these messages, then we're going to use our beautiful green database. I don't know if we can get like the exact icons for that. Can we get like let's see by total downloads, things that are most downloaded. We're going to add this onto Excali. You like Docker? I like it named. Okay, we'll have our Docker right there. I wanted my database to be named. I just don't want a database, because I'm going to use, for this one I'm going to be very specific with which DB I'm going to use. So what are we using? We'll be using MongoDB for this one, guys. Yep, I'm not going to be thinking of relationships at this point, because as of now it's going to be specifically for this project, but I'm going to try and make it easy enough for me to plug in or make it a bit more versatile. But for now it's just gonna be MongoDB, Azure. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna get the exact database I'm looking for, but let me just say database. I'm gonna search that, and I don't know why, but I'm not gonna get that. So just gonna get you our database right here. So which icon is good for the database? It looks good enough. Okay, and obviously we are going to persist everything in the database right there. before we get to the database, we need to introduce the concept of queuing. And why do we want to queue? Well, because these messages can be coming on a very large throughput. The reason we want a queue is the queue is going to be in memory. Ideally, we can use Redis because we're not going to be serving too many people, so we're going to use Redis for this one. So what Redis is going to do is it's going to store them as a queue, and once they are stored, they are taken to the. We can use Redis or we can use RabbitMQ, one of those, and we queue all the messages coming in first before persisting them in DB. Before persisting in database, we are going to send them back to the user that made this request. So I don't know if there are other icons I can use here, but so ideally this is a two-way connection. Okay, that's how normally it works. So okay, so our simple two-way connection okay, let me just not focus on the diagram itself. So we're going to queue the messages as they come in before storing them. So so we can use RabbitMQ for that. And then so for the producer, the users will be the producers, but then for consumption, we'll have our RabbitMQ. Okay, let me get some insight from ChatGPT first. Okay, I'm gonna use Grok. I don't know, I found Grok to be a little bit better. So can I use Redis for a chat server, or should I use RabbitMQ? Yeah. Want to add queuing. So ChatGPT supposedly said Redis can't be good enough for a chat server. So Redis pub sub. So let's know Redis pub sub. What does that do? Who publishes and who subscribes. Do we have like topics where users publish to and others subscribe? Come on, it's taking a little bit long. How many or what I'm trying e.g. user 1, for example, user 1 is online and user 2 is not. User 1 sends a message going to create a channel and queue the message until user 2 is online, or do we persist it? Only so that is only creating when both participants are online. I don't know how. I don't know, guys. I'm trying to have a mental model of how this is going to work, because to my thinking, I was probably going to have the chat server. So once we have the chat server, we're going to do like direct communication. So once we get your message, we will push it to the queue, and from the queue, we'll check if you're online. If you're online, because now the message will have the destination, the destination chat, the destination whatever, and if you're online, you're going to, from the worker, not from the consumer, we check if you're online, then we push it, we send it to that, we emit that message, and if you're not online, we just save it and remove it. We acknowledge it. Yeah, I'm talking about removing. We just acknowledge that it has been consumed, so it's off the queue. Yeah, but this is interesting. Just to see what this guy says. No strict limit. Channels are theoretically unlimited. They are just string identifiers like keys, and Redis can handle millions, billions without issue. As long as your server's memory and CPU can keep up, each channel only consumes significant resources with has active subscriber. A few bytes per subscribing channel. If a channel has 0 subscribers, it effectively doesn't exist until someone subscribes. No storage overhead. Okay, that's basically what I was asking. So for apps like Discord, Instagram, 100 minutes of channels, one per room, DM effortlessly. The bottleneck usually subscribers per channel. 10k plus might slow publish, not the number of channels. If you're hitting limits, it's likely your total keys in Redis default memory max policy evicts old ones. Network IO pub some specificity. Okay, then Redis might be actually up for the task. If it's able to do all these, then it will save me a lot of RabbitMQ queuing. Mhm. How channels get created in a chat. You don't explicitly create channels in Redis PubSub. They're implicit and dynamic. Okay, a channel exists as soon as you subscribe or publish to it. No pre-setup needed. Redis handles it on the okay. If no one is subscribed, publishing still works, but the message is easily dropped. Fine, forget. For your scenario, user 1 online, user 2 offline, user 1 sends a message. Don't create queue in a channel for offline users. PubSub doesn't persist or queue anything. Message vanishes if there is no active subscribers. Instead, publish a new to the channel for any online participant, including user 1 for echo. Persist the echo. Okay, I get what you say. Persist the message elsewhere for offline delivery. Redis streams best for this. Append to a stream like when user 2 comes online, fetch missed messages with exchange or user consumer groups for ARC-based delivery or database. Store messages with room ID timestamp etc. Query on reconnect. Only subscribe when online. Your backend WebSocket server called subscribe only for connected users. No need for both to be online to create the channel. It's always usable. Okay, so it is going to subscribe. So whenever user comes online, so okay, so what that means is we're getting rid of RabbitMQ. We're not going to use MQ for this one. We are going to use Redis, your number one caching solution. So we're going to use Redis. So Redis is going to lie between our server and our database. Okay, and Redis will handle a lot of the magic. A lot of the magic that we'll be doing, Redis is going to handle that. Everything will be dockerized. We'll have a Docker Compose for everything. So that I'm planning on open sourcing this so that if anyone wants to put chat in the application, they don't have to write it from scratch. Just plug and play. Yeah. So the idea is simple. User 1. Okay, I'm going to change this to user 1. So user 1, like so. Then we'll have beautiful user 2 right here. User 2. So for example, user 1 sends a message. Do we have like a message icon here? Actually, let me see if I can use another icon, but that one was probably the best that we could get. If I could get like this one, but now without this one. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to change the color like so. Okay. Let's just fill it. So if we get a message sent by user 1, we'll get that message, and the first thing that we do is we enqueue it. Okay, so we're not enqueuing it ideally, but we are doing with that is we are storing it. We create a published channel for it. Okay, so basically we publish to a specific channel, and I think for these channels we are going to use the chat IDs for that, so that it's simple. You don't have to manage any more channels and then try to map them to particular chats. So it doesn't really matter if it's a group chat or any other chat. We're just going to publish to a certain channel, say. Okay, so we publish to a certain channel, and what that does is we have it here. So we'll have our message taken right there. Okay, so we'll have our message. our message taken to the queue, and then because when user 2 comes online, what they do is they're going to subscribe to that particular, and as our trusted grok has said, you can publish it or you can subscribe. So a channel exists as soon as you subscribe or publish. So when we come online, we're going to subscribe to it, okay? And then whenever someone is going to publish to that channel, we're going to get the message instantly. So this user is just going to come and publish. If user 2 is not online, what happens is you're going to do persistence right there. Okay, going to persist, and okay, going to persist our message right there. Okay, okay, so that's the basic idea. Then here we'll store our database. Here we'll store everything in the database. So it's that simple. So Redis is going to handle the pub subscribe, so it's going to handle the channels for us. So you'll have the channels right there, and whenever user 1 is going to send a message, we publish it into the channel. If there's no user in the channel, what happens is the channel out of existence, there's no subscriber, and then we persist our message. But if there is a subscriber to that particular channel, so if user 2 is online, what happens is the message just comes and goes back, and still we are going to persist the message. So the number one question that we're going to ask is can you get like bi-directional arrowheads? Say publish. Okay, so guys, I just found out you could do this. This is interesting. Where is that? Okay, so that's the basic idea. I thought we could have like multi-directional arrows, the back and forth arrows, but nope. No, we don't have the bi-directional arrows. Okay, so that's the basic idea. So one more interesting thing is how we're going to fetch, because this one, once you connect the chat server, we want to be able to fetch for you all your chats from the particular chat server. So whenever we have updates, we are still going to give you updates from there. So so user one sends, publishes to channel, both subscriber get it instantly, also appends to stream db for history. Okay, it's got an email. What does he say? All my inboxes, I'm just checking and seeing if I have some messages I've not responded to. Don't think so. Okay, guys, why am I planning so much? I don't want to make mistakes when I'm going to eat this. So also append to stream for history. So we're going to do publish. So both subscribers are going to get it instantly. Also append to stream /db for history. When user 2 is online, user 1 sends publish dropped since no sub for user 2. Appends to db. When user 2 connects, fetch from stream db and delivers by WebSocket. No read to republish. Same but channel like fans out to all online subscribers. Offline subscribers can catch up from persistence. Why not queue in PubSub? It's not designed for persistence. For queuing guarantees delivery. Use ready streams built-in, ordered persistence or RabbitMQ, Kafka. This okay. So the thing with queues is whenever you want something that is going to be persistent, or you want to ensure delivery, that's when you use a queue. That's when you use RabbitMQ. But you can also do persistence in Redis, but it's not guaranteed. Okay, so I need to also ask something here. When a user connects to the chat, DM chat, what's recommended way of fetching the chat messages? Should we deliver them on the connection event, or should it be an API call? Let's see what chat responds. Oh. Okay. Okay. This is very smart. I never used this. Using the time, date and time as why this pattern wins every time. Only REST API on connect. Slightly higher. So okay. On load on connect. Okay. 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 So I think I have everything I need. So that's a simple thing that we're gonna do. So the next thing I'm doing is I'm going to set up my Node.js server. I'm going to use MongoDB. Yeah, he said it's slow, but that's what I'm gonna use because I'm already using MongoDB for the charts, and I'm not changing that because it says so. I'm not trying to do migrations right now. I'm not trying to transfer data right now. I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry. So what we're gonna do is start building. Yeah, yeah, we start building. Okay, city documents. So I'm going to make this directory for chat. So yeah. What do we call it? My chat. Yeah, let's call it my chat. Who stops us from calling it my chat? So yeah, that's what's up right there. So first thing that we're gonna do is obviously probably start by initializing a new MongoDB project. Okay. Let's go to GitHub. I'm gonna do a new repository and I'm going to generate it from a template I have. So yeah, so you can move fast. The template has a lot of things set up, so yeah. Well, we are going to use Express for the querying, so we're probably going to have a few endpoints on there. So I'm going to have it private for now, but I'll make it open source later after I'm done with the project that I'm doing, because yeah, we're going to start from a template, and we're going to start with Express Mongoose starter. Then we're going to create that right there. Okay. Yep, this one has a lot of things set up, pre-set up, so it's going to copy that. rem-ref my chat git clone. So we're going to clone that my chat, and yeah, the reason for cloning, so that we can start working on it, man. So we can start working on it, yeah, working on it. Okay. So how do I plan to make it like universal or chat server that you can use with anything? It's gonna be a little bit hard, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie. Because the big idea is having a chat server that anyone can just come plug and play to a system that they already have, or their own code base that they have, so they have users. So, and then we cannot have duplicate users, so we cannot like have a diff or store some user credentials here, not credentials but user metadata, so maybe the name, the image, and whatever, and these ones are going to be updated periodically, so you cannot store them like that. So you need to define a way where you can query the users of this particular person and maybe have them be returned in a particular format, and then from there you can be able to handle them, and maybe store messages on your own. You can store the messages on your own, or they can give you access to the same server that they have, and this should be specifically for MongoDB, if they're using MongoDB, because you can start thinking about Postgres, but PostgreSQL, yeah, but I think that's something we can do in future. We can start thinking about how we can do adapters, how we can have particular users, or how we can do the setup nicely. But maybe I think the basic idea will be the users or the dev implementing it will have to provide us with some function. They'll have to customize some function that is going to make DB calls to their service. So they're going to provide the database URL. Then they're going to provide the database URL with the users. Then they are going to make the calls themselves. So I don't know how they're going to do that, if it's raw SQL, or if they're using me, or if they can use Mongoose, or I don't know how they're going to do that, but they'll do a single function that fetches user and returns in it in a particular format. So once they've done that function, then internally in the application we'll be able to get the users, right? Then we can either decide to store chats in the same servers they are doing, or we can store the charts ourselves. Yeah. See, I'm trying. I think the first thing I should do is I should not think about scalability at the start, like total scalability, or how making these particular queries, these RPC calls, are going to give us a little more latency than we want. So for now, I think I should just think about, let's first get it functional, and then we'll optimize once it's functional. So the idea is to have the MVP, and for this one, it's going to be MVP. And if we're going way smarter people than I am out there who can do that particular thing for the people who work with open source. So yeah. So what are we gonna do for this one? So we're going to use Docker, obviously. So I'm going to do this Docker setup right now, so we can go fast. Okay, I'm going to switch to VS Code later. Yeah, we're going to have our Docker file right here. Okay, and guys, don't worry what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to copy a lot of these Docker configurations from what I already have. So yeah, don't worry. Is there I can optimize this one? Probably there is, and I'm gonna use it. Yep. Docker. Using Node 20 Slim. How did we normally used to use Docker dev? I cannot remember. How did we use Docker? Oh, using the compose override. Oh yeah. I'm forgetful, man. Okay. So oh man, this will be so many services running locally at a concurrent. Oh man, this will be crazy hard. Um, guys, this is gonna be a lot of work, man. Let me just not project. Let me break down everything into small chunks, because if I start thinking about how much work it's gonna be, I might give up before I even start. So yeah, let's fucking go. Let's get it, man. So the first thing that we're gonna do is so what services are we gonna need for our Docker Compose? We're going to need are we going to need MongoDB? We don't need MongoDB for this one. We'll be using an external URL. So this URL is for my already running server. Okay. So for this private one, it will be a little bit different than the one that will be open source, I think. Yeah, this one will be a little bit tightly coupled to what I'm doing right now, and then maybe later when I come back to it, I'm going to make it a bit more, say, dynamic, or be able to support a lot more than what I'm working with. So I'm going to try and tightly couple this one so that I can move a little bit faster. Sort of, yeah, because if I start thinking about how many people I can support or how many different applications I can support, then it will be overwhelming, and it might take me way longer than I want to take on this one, because I think if I sit down nicely on this one, I should be able to get it done with AI in maybe 4 or 5 hours, but it might probably take like 10 hours. Guys, let's get going, huh? Let's get going, eh? Okay, so let's do Docker Compose YAML. Okay, services. So the first one is going to be our chat. I'm just gonna call it chat, man. Chat GPT web chat server. My chat server. Yeah. My chat app, my chat server. So we're not using an image, we are using this one right here, this one right here, this one right. So I think I'm gonna copy the whole of this right here. Why? Because I'm not typing all that, yeah. I'm not typing all that, yeah. Always. Okay, that looks good for me. Okay, so the build context. So for the build context, we're not going to /API. The previous one was like that because we had /API. Should I just do dot? I think dot is enough. I don't know. Production. Going to do envs a001. This one I'm going to do something like 8032. Or should I put an Easter egg right there? Yeah, I'm gonna do an Easter egg. 047. You know Philip, the boy Foden, our own, the star boy. 047. Okay, we're gonna use that for now. So that's what we have in our compose. What we need to bring in is Redis. Okay, so I'm going to bring in Redis. Obviously I'm going to probably go to this depends on, we don't have all this, but we're gonna probably have Redis on here. So we're going to move on to Redis. As you can see, we have volumes. I don't know if we Need to set up volumes for that, but we need the network. Need the network bridge. Okay, we need the network bridge. What else do we need? Volumes. I don't think we need volumes unless Redis requires. I think Redis requires I'm not sure. So Docker Hub, Redis. Okay. But I'm interested to see how far ChatGPT fucking. Guys, forgive me.
I don't imagine you'll receive this letter, but I nonetheless must send it.
Hey you, we're having a giveaway at
It's 3 a.m.
Guys, you know, Africa is gonna be the next big thing. I think if I were to do a startup in Africa right now, like I'm going to definitely try and make one work. There's so much things changing right now, and I feel like we are moving to a more online based what do I call it? Do I say economy? I'm not an economist. I don't know what I'm saying, but guys, a lot of people are going online. A lot of things are being done online. For that particular reason, I think in Africa we lack a lot of online services. There are online services. You can order food yes online. You can do all those things, but it's not as developed as the West is, or Europe is, or the East, the Far East. Yeah. So I feel like, especially in places like logistics, where doing what Amazon does ideally, but for Africa, where people can buy, someone can buy maybe from Kenya and they're in South Africa, and we deliver them in like a day or two. I feel like if you could do that at that particular scale, to be fucking crazy, you could make a lot of money. Yeah, but the difficult part is Africa is huge. You could possibly feed the US, you could feed all these big countries in Africa. So I guess that's another reason. It's going to be difficult to do such logistics. Yeah. From Nairobi to Cape Town. Flight time. How many hours? 5 hours. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. 5 hours. That's crazy. Damn, that's crazy. From let's do like from LA to New York. New York. New York. The 4 hours. Oh shit. It's ideally almost okay, it's more or less almost the same distance. So you want to tell me from Africa, so map of Africa. So you want to tell me something like this? Let's use this one. Come on. Okay. So you want to tell me the distance from here to here is the same from the US, West Coast to East Coast. Because that's the whole length of the US. So the distance from here, Kenya, Nairobi, to South Africa, that distance is map of the United States. So it's the same distance from all the way in LA, Los Angeles, California, to New York. Where is the fucking New York at? Washington, No. New York is all over. I think is New York in Washington. Where is fucking New York? I know it's in East Coast. New York map. No, New York location in US. Oh, it's all over on the other side. So, oh, New York, New York is a state on its own. So the whole distance from here to here is basically from, okay, but yeah, you could definitely fit the whole of US and a lot more countries in Africa. So Africa is huge. If you want to do such logistics, it's probably going to take quite a lot to get it established. But if you do get it established, then good money is coming your way. I'm just saying. Yeah. So what are we doing? What we're doing right now is setting up Redis. Why don't these guys give me a sample Docker Compose file? Let me just tell this guy to. Okay, create for me Docker Compose. I already have a Docker file for my Nodejs backend. Bro, that female is she's gorgeous, man. She's gorgeous. Which one? Grok, man. Grok. I call it Grok. He's a ready to run Docker Compose file that works perfectly for. Okay. My backend is there. Backend is there. Yeah. Backend is there. Restart unless stop. You always need to have that. Restart unless stop. You know why? You don't want a service starting by itself and you've not instructed it to start. I'm actually interested in the Reddit part, so yeah. Are they the same? Yeah, chart network volumes. This one does even volumes. Okay. All of them have volumes. We have the command enable persistence for streams. Redis server. Save. This one uses 7 Alpine. This uses 7.4 Alpine. This one is a bit probably a newer model. Yep. This one overdoes it, but I think it's a newer model. I'm gonna choose that one. I think I'll continue working with that model right there, because if I check the official Redis, I think it's 0.8, 8.44. Damn. Bruh. Here they're saying 7.4 Alpine, but we are at 8.400 bookworm. Or should we use like the latest tag? What does using the latest? See, using the latest, it might be problematic. When you when there's breaking changes, but I don't think they're going to ever have breaking changes in Redis, especially for the base APIs. It's used by too many people for you to have breaking changes. Yeah, because it's not in beta. If it was in 0 point something, then you could expect breaking changes, but for this one I don't necessarily expect any breaking changes at all. Even if you are not tall, I'm telling you you could be tall. Okay, so we're gonna call it the chat network. Chat network. Same thing with here. So we're gonna have the chat network right here. So persist Redis data. So we're just going to have the volumes. I don't think we are gonna use streams either way, but it's okay to have them. I don't have an issue with that. So 774 Alpine is not the latest Alpine release. So but we have the Alpine 8.4 Alpine. So it's 8.40, 8.4, 8.40 Alpine 3.2. Which one is the nice Alpine that we want? 8.0. I think this one is. Come on, man. Can you tell me what these ones do? Because I don't even understand, man. Anyway, we are going to use 8.40 Alpine or 8.4 Alpine, or should we use the latest? I think we should just use 8.4 Alpine. Why not use latest? I think there is the reason we have version control. If you want to bump up the version of Redis, then you'll bump up and deal with the breaking changes if there'll be any at that particular point. There's no need for you to have people downloading the same container, the same container image, and it doesn't work for other people because it used the latest Redis, and when you are testing you are using a different version of Redis. So for that particular reason, I might be using at latest right now might be 8.4, but in future it will be 10.5, and maybe 10.5 there might have been a broken API. There might have been a broken change, and the API is a bit different, and it might break everything. So it's better for you to go for 8.4, and 8.4 is gonna work for us, work for everyone. Redis server. Okay. What else do we need? Yeah, we're already fucking crunching time, man. So we're also going to set up the volumes. I don't need to know the syntax, I just need to know what it does. So this one sets up the volumes, allowing Redis to write data on disk. Okay, so what else do we need? I think that's it for the Docker. Yep, there is also these things, these environments right here. Redis host, Redis, and this is, I think it's better for you to have them right here. Okay, like so. Why? Because this is like a tight coupling. Yeah, it's a tight coupling because we are using Redis within that, and we're not using any external Redis for this one. We're using the internal Redis. So for that particular reason, we're gonna do that. We don't need anything else. So it's going to work out whatever it needs to work out, and Redis port is going to be set like that for DNV. For the ports, we are gonna use oh, by the way, I can possibly hard code the port on the server because I'm using Docker. Yes, 8047. I'm going to hard code it actually. For real. Yeah, I'm gonna hard code it. I'm not going to use, because I think I remember a time back when I didn't hard code this thing, and I'm going to my lib environment, yes, and the server port is going to be hard coded here. .47. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah. Wait a minute. Leave it how you leave it. When it's time to, why did I hard code it? The reason I had coded it, because I could definitely have it in my .env, because from the template itself you can see it's here, right? Where is the server port? Oh yeah, it's here, the API port right here. See, it's already there. But now the problem is, there's a time I was doing the builds and you'd get like weird errors, and the reason being there's port mismatches between what you have in your .env, what you have in your Docker file, because Docker file itself you're exposing a port, and this port has to be exposed by the application you are running. Otherwise you'll have a port that doesn't do anything. So that's the reason for that. I'm hard coding that one because either way the only exposing that is going to happen is actually here, and this one has to be the external and this one has to be the internal, and the internal has to match, and if it doesn't match then it's another issue. The reason I've coded that. I think from there everything else should be okay, which will have probably download the Redis client for the particular reason. Oh yeah, how I say we're using iRedis npm. iRedis is a robust, full-featured Redis client useful for the world's biggest. Yeah, so we're gonna use iRedis. That's what's up, man. And before doing a build for the Docker image, remember we have everything as a less stopped. I'm going to get rid of some things that we are not gonna need for this one. So some of those packages that we're not gonna need is we're definitely not going to need to seed anything for this one. We're not gonna need to seed anything. So yep. Okay, first let me install some few things here and there. So we're going to install npm io redis. Okay, so we install iRedis. I'm using PNP. I could have possibly used burn. Yep, I could have possibly used that one, but I'm not gonna do that. So first thing that we get rid of is that. As you can see, we need to see the DB first and then set it up as initialized, but that's what we're doing right now. Okay, see that? Yep. So there's some files that are useless in this case. cdb, we don't need that. We don't need it. We don't need it. We don't need it, man. Open API JSON. You probably if you don't need this one. Yep, if you need that one. What else? Probably alt middlewares. We might not need alt middlewares. You know why? Because the way I'm going to do alt with this one is I'm probably going to have a shared GWT secret, and then it's going to be signed from we'll have a shared key that is going to sign for us tokens. So from your server you sign a token and you send it to the front end with a particular name. We're going to give it like a unique name for that token. Then you store it either in the session storage, probably ideally session storage. Whenever you come back, we'll get it from the session storage and we're going to send it back with this one. So you're probably going to give it an expiration period. If it's expired, we send back a message to you that is expired when you try to connect them. That's the idea for auth for this one. So I'm not going to be needing any of these auth middlewares. Possibly, yep, this one was specifically for something else. We're not going to need it. There are things that we're not going to need is these different models. It's going to need the user model. Why just the user model? Probably the user chat model, all those ones. We're not going to need any other parts of those ones. So then we have our sockets right here. So using WS, we'll use socket.io possibly. Yeah, we'll use socket.io, and yeah, I think that's it, because I think we already have the server set up here for what we have. This, where is that thing? Shake that thing, wind that, okay guys, forgive me for playing around. I'm a young boy, I gotta do that, man. Security update: npm classic tokens creation is now disabled. Existing classic token will be revoked by December 9th. Migrate to trusted publishing or granular access token to avoid disruption. Okay, that's cool, I think. So yep. If it was possible for me to transfer all these context right here, yeah, into my favorite code editor, that would be great. But I think I'm going to set it up myself first, so that yeah, we're gonna have everything be granular, how I like it. So I think this one sets up everything that we need. Yeah, definitely does set up everything that we need. And yeah, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Docker override. And what will the Docker override do? Docker override will run the dev script instead of the production script. So I'm going to set up Docker. I don't know how we used to write that name, guys. I'm sorry. I have to copy. You can't remember everything, man. Docker compose. Then we're gonna do the override. It's very simple. Override YAML. So docker compose override YAML. That's what we have. And ideally it's going to be the same services. And the only thing you do with the override is you replace what you want to replace without saying you want to replace what you want to replace. But what I mean, guys, is I gotta do this, man. I gotta copy. I gotta copy, man. Isn't it copying? So you have to have the name, the same service name as this one for you to override it. So ideally what this one will do is it's going to use docker dev. I don't know if I just replace like one env variable, it's going to change just only that variable, I think so. Yep. env file remains the same, environment env file remains the same, so you don't need to override that. The ports will remain the same. What am I checking though? Yeah, the ports, the network will remain the same, everything else will remain the same. This one should always be at always. Why? Because it's in production, guys. It's in production. But in the Docker override, unless stopped is what we're going to use for that particular case. Okay. Redis. So for Redis, I don't think there's anything else that we need to actually change. I don't think so. It's just yeah, it's nothing crazy that we need to change. So we just do the restart unless stopped thing. TSX MQ consumer. Okay, guys, I think that's it for the setup. I don't know if it's gonna run, but hopefully it will. Volumes up, node modules. So for this particular mapping that we are doing, remember I don't have a docker ignore, so I gotta do the docker ignore too. I don't know this mapping, it's okay, guys. What mapping? No, is in my override. Should I just do that, or should I just do that? I don't know. Should I ask? Let me ask AI. Yeah, so I'm gonna use uh-huh. I think it's either dot slash or slash. I don't know. I'm not sure. So let it yeah, dot slash, dot slash, dot slash, dot slash, dot slash. Yep. So we just have a dot right there. So the next thing that we do is we have to have a docker ignore. So docker ignore. Why do you have a docker ignore? You don't want to be copying a lot of unnecessary things, okay? So remember we have a docker ignore in itself here. So going to copy that. Yeah. Probably not going to be updating any videos on here, so you don't need that right here. So we're going to also have something else. Dev.sh. What dev.sh does is going to be a simple bash script. Okay, guys, very simple bean bash compose up, and then we're going to have our prod.sh. What prod does is it's going to specify the file that we are running, and we're going to use just the compose, docker compose. Whenever you just do docker compose up without specifying the file, it's going to override whatever is in the docker compose with what is in the docker override. And now for that particular reason, we don't want that. Whenever we're doing the production, that's where we have the script right there, and the production is just going to run this. So restarts will always be there, and then yeah, we'll not be doing any volumes for the node modules in this case. Yeah, so if you ever ask yourself why your local dev is having your local dev image is like fucking a gigabyte, it's because you're mapping your node modules. Oh, damn, I'm tired, man. I'm tired. I feel like, let me say, hey, you know, this is yeah. So what's the mention? So we have those scripts up and running. So the next thing I need to do is I need to set up a simple chat server, and I need to play around with it. Probably connect from a simple HTML, CSS, JavaScript file. Try and see if the message is coming back with a simple setup. Then if the messages are going through Redis and coming back as I expected, then I'm going to move forward and add all the functionalities that we need. So what functionalities? Checking which users are online, read receipts, and all those things that are minute but are needed. Message reactions, and all those things, guys. Yeah. morning, good morning, good morning. Let me say good morning. Good morning. No, let me use good morning, good morning, good morning. Mm, 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 mm. Do you see me? Mm. Mana AI? You don't need to be seen as a collect. Okay, why do people do that? For the images, for the image that comes out, the class stood, bro. Fucking if you're making do it from bottom of your heart. And guys, I'm getting distracted. But ideally, I have the Docker compose, the Docker ignore. What else do I need? I think that's it, guys. For this section of the stream, I'll be back in maybe like 20 minutes. Let me go get some breakfast. Then we'll start coding this thing out. Probably in 2 hours we should have something ready. With okay, in 2 hours is a long time. The setup is what is probably gonna take time, but probably 2 hours we might have something that is workable, and then from there we can think about extending the functionalities to support what ideally we want our chat application to do. We need to have message likes on there. We need to have message likes, reactions, I mean. We need to have replies. We need to have all those nice things that we ideally want. So guys, that's it. And then yeah, that's it, guys. I'm going to come back. I'll be back in the next 30, because now it's around 11 o'clock, so it's 11:04. It's around the same time across the world, so not the same time in terms of the time, but in terms of the minutes. So in the next, when it gets to 30 your time, then I'll be back probably.